She asked me to stay away from her hospital room. I wish I had listened. I thought my wife was hiding another man. Looking back now, I wish that had been the truth, because what I discovered that night broke something inside me that never fully healed. My wife Emma and I had been married for 6 years. She was the strongest person I knew, the kind of woman who smiled through stress, laughed through pain, and somehow made every bad day feel smaller. Then one day, she started acting different. It began with small things. She'd disappear into another room whenever her phone rang. She started waking up before sunrise and leaving the house without explanation. Sometimes I'd catch her staring out the window with tears in her eyes. Whenever I asked what was wrong, she'd force a smile. I'm okay. She wasn't. I knew it. One evening, I noticed a hospital bracelet sticking out of her purse. My stomach dropped. When I confronted her, she quickly hid it. "It's nothing," she said. "Nothing." That word became her answer for everything. Weeks passed. Then one night she sat beside me on the couch and said something strange. "If something ever happens to me, promise you'll be okay." I laughed nervously. "Why would you even say that?" She looked away. "Just promise." For the first time in our marriage, I saw fear in her eyes. Real fear. And that's when I knew she was hiding something big. The next morning, she left the house again. I followed her. I hated myself for doing it, but I needed answers. She drove across town and parked outside a large cancer treatment center. My heart nearly stopped. Cancer? No. That couldn't be right. I watched her walk inside. After 20 minutes, I couldn't take it anymore. I went in after her. The building smelled like disinfectant and coffee. People sat quietly in waiting rooms. Some looked hopeful. Others looked defeated. I searched every hallway until I finally saw Emma. She was sitting outside a doctor's office, alone, crying. I've never forgotten that sight, because she wasn't the woman I knew in that moment. She looked terrified. Broken? Sem GCC all? I started walking toward her. Then I heard the doctor call her name. "Emma, you're late." "Emma, your latest results are ready." I froze. The doctor continued. "The treatment isn't working as well as we'd hoped." Everything around me disappeared. The sounds, the people, the hallway, all gone. I felt like the floor vanished beneath my feet. Treatment? Results? What treatment? Then the doctor said the words that changed my life. "Your cancer has progressed." I couldn't breathe. Cancer. My wife had cancer, and I had no idea. Emma looked down and whispered, "How much time?" The doctor hesitated, then quietly answered, "Maybe a year, possibly less." My legs nearly gave out. I stood there, hidden around the corner while my entire world collapsed. The woman I loved more than anything was dying, and she'd been carrying that burden completely alone. A few minutes later, she walked out. The second she saw me, her face turned white. "David," I couldn't speak. My eyes filled with tears. "Why didn't you tell me?" She started crying immediately, because she already knew there was no good answer. We sat in that hospital hallway for hours, and eventually she told me everything. She had been diagnosed 8 months earlier. At first, the doctors were optimistic, but the treatments became harder. The prognosis became worse, and she decided to hide it from me. Not because she didn't trust me, because she loved me. She didn't want every moment we had left to be filled with fear. She wanted us to keep laughing, keep dreaming, keep living, even if she was dying inside. I cried harder that day than I ever had in my entire life. Not because she was sick, because she faced all of it alone. The surgeries, the chemotherapy, the sleepless nights, the fear, alone, while I sat at home worrying about secret phone calls and strange behavior. From that day forward, everything changed. I attended every appointment, every treatment, every hospital visit. Some days we cried together. Some days we laughed until our stomachs hurt. And somehow those became the most meaningful months of our marriage. One evening we sat watching the sunset from our backyard. Emma rested her head on my shoulder. Then she quietly asked, "Are you angry that I didn't tell you?" I looked at her, really looked at her, and shook my head. "No." She smiled softly. "Why?" I squeezed her hand. "Because every day you spent protecting me was another day you were loving me." She cried. I cried. And neither of us pretended otherwise. 8 months later, Emma passed away peacefully in her sleep. The house felt empty after that, too quiet, too still. Sometimes I still expect to hear her laugh from another room. Sometimes I still reach for her side of the bed. But whenever I remember those final months, I don't think about the pain. I think about what she taught me. Because love isn't always loud. Sometimes love looks like sacrifice. Sometimes it looks like carrying a burden so someone else doesn't have to. And sometimes the person you think is hiding something from you is actually fighting the hardest battle of their life, alone.